Mega exclusive coming through here on CNN News 18. Intel sources via our group editor, Security Affairs, Manoj Kumar Gupta, revealed to News 18 that radicalization threat is only increasing in Bharat as terror groups are joining ranks and conspiring against Bharat. Top intelligence sources revealed to News 18 that a huge number of ISIS sympathizers are in India, while the Indian neighborhood like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives have witnessed several ISI attacks. Intel sources revealed that in India too, there's a strong ISIS threat, but due to continuous interventions, several of these attacks have actually been averted. Let's tell you what the sources are revealing. First revelation, ISIS threat is increasing with radicalization in Bharat. ISIS entry to the ME war theatre Middle East war theatre is dangerous for Bharatiya. Also, ISI-Taliban may join hands and pose major threat to Bharat. Now let's tell you what intel assessment actually reveals, how the ISIS-ISI-Taliban are a threat to our country. Those arrested by agencies in the last 3 years were highly radicalized. Coimbatore attack suspect influenced by ISIS attacker Zehran. Bengaluru suspect Sharik was also influenced by this hardcore ISIS-K ideology. ISIS-K sympathizers in South Kashmir working as sleeper cells. And the recent attack in Iran actually poses a security threat to Bharat. ISI and Taliban factions are planning terror attacks against Bharat. Thousands of Taliban in the same facility with ISKP in Bagram prison. So there has been some exchange there, and some of those who were trained in Nangarhar have been seen operating closer to our borders and our soil. Pak exaggerating this rift with Taliban so as to shield its role in all these proxy war ops on our soil. Joining us now is Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, former GOC 15 Corps. General Saab, Namaste, Jai Hind. Thank you very, very much for speaking with us here at CNN News 18. Are you worried about this recent surge of activity that we are seeing?
Namaskar and Jai Hind. Anand, thank you very much for inviting me for this show. I happen to be one of those people who, right from the beginning, the last 2-3 years, have been stating that Jammu and Kashmir is not what you see peripherally from the top. While everything is good in terms of the amount of violence, even the current recent incidents do not worry me so much as such in terms of statistics and things like that. What worries me is the larger things which are happening in Pakistan and Afghanistan, from where obviously the winds of jihadism and of this kind moves into Jammu and Kashmir, and that is what brings the troubles to us. You see, the Taliban all these years, great friends of the Pakistan, ISI, etc., has obviously suddenly turned the tide and looked at Pakistan differently. No, I've been predicting for the last 2 years, ever since the Americans left in August 2021, that the Taliban will probably get more and more ambitious and will seek ways, because of the fact that they have proven that they can defeat empire after empire, they will want to dominate the proceedings around the AFPAC region, particularly from an ideological angle. And they have been host to so many groups which have been present within. That's where all the sanctuaries of the international terrorists have been all these years. That they have the experience of being able to spread this far and wide. And therefore, when I see things happening in Jammu and Kashmir today, I tend to establish linkages with what is happening in Afghanistan and on the borders of Afghanistan and Pakistan, with the intent of Pakistan trying to gain relevance all over again in Jammu and Kashmir.
But General Saab, could there be a situation like in Iran here in Bharat, in J&K?
This is an interesting observation. Well, when I look at Jammu and Kashmir, I look at it from the angle of the 34 years of experience that the Indian security forces, not just the Indian army, but the Indian security forces have had here. We were taken by surprise in 1989, and of course those were different times, there were different ideologies at that time, and infiltration was open, and there were not too much use of technologies and things of that kind. We have gained our experience, but there have been a lot of countermeasures taken by the other side too. In terms of porosity, when you look at it, in terms of the technologies which are in use today. Social media to spread the messaging. You don't really need physical movement up and down to bring ideological messages to the people concerned. Then the aspect of arms and ammunition through drones, the manner in which it is moving. 120 drones shot down in a month. I mean, that is something unbelievable almost. That means if 120 have been shot down, that many may have already gone across.
Correct.
So there is porosity, but I am fully confident that the experience that the Indian armed forces, the Indian security forces have gained over a period of time will make this extremely difficult for people to actually adopt this kind of an approach of entry and exit from Jammu and Kashmir. Unlike from Iran to Afghanistan, etc., that border has not had a proxy war as such. And therefore, perhaps they don't have the experience of handling it in this manner. In our case, first of all, the community itself is a minority. Secondly, I think the armed forces are very strong, the security forces are very strong, and more important than anything else, the manner in which the government of India today is handling Jammu and Kashmir with the development agenda, I think that is one of the main weapons that India is employing against these kind of trends.
But is radicalization being used as a tool? ISIS-K kind of ideology, is there a push? Are these forces combining ranks, Taliban, ISI, ISIS-K?
Little early to say yet, but after 2019 and what happened in Sri Lanka, the ISIS went on a bit of a back foot. It probably realized that too much of publicity was not good for its future, and therefore actually went into virtual hiding, but in a networked state in many parts of the world, primarily in Africa and portions of Syria, where they continue to exist. And of course, in Taliban, in Afghanistan, in northern Afghanistan in particular. The global cycle of terror received a setback also because of the COVID pandemic from 2000 onwards to about 2022. And thereafter, the conditions have been different. The focus of the world has shifted to Ukraine, etc. Now it is all shifted to Israel-Hamas war. And therefore, we are finding that somehow the ISIS felt itself left out of this entire thing. The ISIS is now trying to make a comeback and to regain its relevance. It is attempting to do more of this in Africa at the moment, but obviously it's finding its moorings also in India. The recent events, yes, in Coimbatore, the attempted car blast, the car bomb in Coimbatore and things like that. These are all indicators that the networks are still very much alive. Now, ISIS never died a natural death. It was never put to sleep. It remained in a network state. This is something which the world's intelligence agencies all agree. And therefore, for it to emerge will not take very long. It will take advantage of what's happening in Palestine at the moment, on the Hamas front at the moment, the rise of temperatures, the rise of antipathy within the Islamic populations of the Arab world, all this is going to come to the fore. And they will therefore try and make attempts to expand their networks, come back into reckoning once again. What we must remember is that in 2014, when they emerged in early June, it came like a bang. Without any intelligence agency ever coming to know as to what really happened. How did this suddenly come into being? In 15 days' time, they announced the caliphate. So the ISIS is used to sensationalism, and therefore, obviously, we can expect that kind of a sensationalism anytime in the near future.
True, and we have to be prepared for that. General Ata Hasnain, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much, sir. Namaste. Jai Hind. We're going to take a very, very short break. When we come back,